Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we have completed chapter 4 of our book Positive Islamic Psychology, a transcendent model to achieve peace, happiness and success in the 21st century. So we have done a very lengthy explanation of chapter 4, and chapter 4 mostly is the writing of Professor Muhammad Mahdi Jenkins, and you can then understand what are his worldview in which he developed when he converted to Islam. So for many years he was an atheist, and then he became a Hindu, then became a Buddhist, and then he became a Muslim and died a Muslim, and he spent more 20 years developing this whole framework of Islamic psychology. So what you see today is his works, because before he can complete this work, he passed on. So he gave the manuscript to me, and so I used those material that he has developed into this book, Positive Islamic Psychology, a Transcendent Model. So today we go into chapter 5. Chapter 5 discusses about the Positive Islamic Psychology Model, or the Islamic Psychology Model. That means there is, as far as we know, there is no Islamic psychology model anywhere yet. There are inklings of some sort of model to be developed for the Islamic psychology in the 20th and 21st century, but there is no model as far as we know. Alhamdulillah, we have model in the past. For example, Al-Ghazali have his model, Ibn Qayyim has his model, and so on. They had this all, but they are in the descriptive form, not in a diagrammatic form. So we have to develop a model, and Alhamdulillah, Professor Muhammad and myself, we developed this model, Islamic psychology model, which we are propounding. We are not saying that this model we are propounding is the one and only model. It should be this model and nothing else. No, it is something that is open for discussion, open for research, open for a lot of development, so that we can then develop. If we can then agree that this could be one model, then we have to develop, for example, what are the motivational techniques that we're going to develop? What are the coaching techniques, counseling techniques, mentoring techniques, and all those practical things that come from a framework. So that's why very important, this work of Islamic psychology framework, this model is our basis. And we are providing it to the Muslim world and encouraging the Muslim world to work on and improve on this. So Alhamdulillah, I'm going to read this chapter 5 introduction. Our positive Islamic psychology model attempts to define and create a framework of positive psychology in our effort towards creating a positive global worldview. So we Muslims in the 21st century must be the forerunner and the carrier of this truth, this positive worldview of this world, not a negative worldview that we have been infected by our forefathers in the 18th, 19th, 20th century because of colonialism, because of oppression, because of injustice. There's so many things we can talk about. If we want to go backward, then it is futile. We got to look forward of how we then can be the leading ummah in the 21st century that brings humanity to the highest level of civilization. That is our goal in positive Islamic psychology. The 4 basic principles of positive Islamic psychology are outlined in the chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first principle is understanding the creator and the created universe. As we mentioned, you must believe in God, you must believe in Allah. Then you are no more a secular, materialist, hedonistic lifestyle psychology, but we must believe in. So the second principle, understand the true nature of the human self, of our existence insofar as our spiritual existence, our roh, our qalb, our akal, our jasad, and our nafs, how they are interrelated. Alright, and I've given you in this diagram. This is the Ghazalian model, which I'm going to explain to you a little bit more. And then the third principle is on being the vicegerent of God, or being the Khalifatullah fil ard. This is a very important message of Islam. Islam has the most positive worldview of human existence. This is the words of Professor Mahdi Jenkins. Before he passed on, he says, we have a wonderful worldview. We are created fitrah. We are created good. Not only we are created good, we are created and appointed the vicegerent of Allah on this earth to make ourselves good, to help others to be good, and make this world good. That is our role on this earth, not to cause destruction, not to cause war, not to commit murder, not to commit transgression, not to commit injustice, and things like that. So we lost that beautiful ideology Okay, you have Marxism, you have communism, you have capitalism, you have all this secularism, all this ism. They are destructive and imperfect ism. But we have Islam, which is the perfect and wonderful ism based on being the Caliph of Allah, of prospering this earth, making this earth a wonderful place for all, Muslim, non-Muslims, creatures on this earth and this universe. This is the ordination of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us. So you go to chapter 3 on being the Caliph of Allah, read this and inspire yourself to be a true and sincere servant of Allah and His Caliph on this earth. Always, I keep on telling in my video the 3 things that we need to do as a Caliph of Allah. Strive to make ourselves good, help others to be good and make the world good. There are more than 200 videos on this in Islamic psychology that explain to you. And number 4, the holistic principles of human behavior and the laws of learning. So these are the 4 foundations of Islamic psychology. So if we can then master these 4 foundations of Islamic psychology, then we would be able to understand the nature of our existence, all right? And how this is linked to the Quran and this model of having understanding of our ruh, our akal, our alqab, our nafs, our jasad, the SEMP, the spiritual, emotional, mental and physical realm, with Maslow's theory of all physical, some mental, some emotional, and then there's no spiritual in their worldview. So all those I've explained to you over many videos. But today I'm just going to fortify ourselves from the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'll just read to you Surah Al-Shams verse 1 to 10. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. So the translation, in the name of Allah, most gracious, merciful, by the sun and its brightness. So Allah swear, this is the swearing of Allah. You look at the sun and its brightness. Can you create the sun? Just like Abraham challenge, Nabi Musa challenge, the Fir'aun, and Nabi Ibrahim challenge Namrud. Alright, so reflect upon the existence of this one star that we're living in, the sun, and how many suns that we have in this universe. Trillions and trillions and trillions, trillions of galaxies, each of them having more than 100 billion stars. So our star is just one insignificant little rock that is not even the size of one atom. So if we reflect, then we know, oh, we are so insignificant. Physically, it's nothing. So even Allah tells us in the Quran, if you can accumulate everything on this earth and turn it into gold, and you then tell Allah, save me, you will not be saved. Because it is insignificant. What is gold? It's just a piece of metal that Allah created. So, by the sun and its brightness, wal qamari iza talaha, and the moon when it follows, and the day when it display, and the night when it is covered, and the heavens and He who constructed it, and the earth and He who spread it. And then verse 7, Allah tells us, and by the soul and He who proportioned it. So by the nafs, wa nafsin wa ma sawaha fa alhamaha fujuraha wa taqwaha qad aflaha man zakkaha wa qad haba man dassaha. All right, so Allah tells us He swear by our nafs, ourself, which constitute our ruh, our spirit, our qalb, our heart, our akal, our mind, and our jasad, ourself, and this self, nafs, is living on this earth. And Allah tells us, what is it? And the soul that He who proportion it, so Allah proportion our soul. He gives the proportion our ruh, our qalb, our akal, our jasad. That proportion must be in just balance. And He inspired it to distinguish between wickedness and righteousness. So then we have a choice. Given this free will, we have the choice to make our nafs journeying towards Allah or journeying towards shaitan. Alright, so we have the ascension towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or descend towards nafsul ammara bisu and nafsul shaitaniyah. We are moving towards nafsul lawamah and nafsul mutmainnah. And he inspire it to distinguish as its wickedness and its good rightness, and indeed he succeeds who purify it. So if we purify our nafs, ourselves, then we succeed in receiving the grace, the mercy, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and succeed getting the Jannah in which he promised. And indeed he fails those who buries it or those who destroy. Alright? So those who destroy and do the transgression, وَقَدْ حَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا, that means indeed he who fails, who destroy or buries their nafs or camouflage the nafs with what? With materialism, with hedonistic lifestyle, with injustice, with destruction, and so many of the evil qualities that is being indulged by those people who doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doesn't believe in the hereafter. So Allah swears by this nafs, and this is the model that I have explained to you. This is an explore our extrapolation from Al-Ghazali, because when we say this, our self here now is here, this is our physical existence. Physical existence, and this is our spiritual existence. So when we die, this become the imprint. All our experience, all our deeds, everything that we do on this earth will then be transmuted in Alamul Barzah, and how the mechanism works about that is a very detailed explanation within the theology of Islam. I'm not going to do that because I'm not expert in the area of this theology, but I'm just giving you the idea that Allah has bestowed us a wonderful nafs to be his sincere servant as Khalifa on this earth. It's our duty to journey, to bring ourselves towards Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainnah irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah fathulil fil ibad wadhulil jannat. Inshallah we will succeed in this world and the hereafter.